Satish Kumar, editor and founder of Resurgence. It's so lovely to meet you. We're sitting in Green Park in the sunshine on the grass. I wanted to ask you for your view of a restored Earth or a better planet for people and for nature.
Very good. Restored Earth can be talked about in two aspects and two ways. One is human Earth, which is particularly in the cities. More than 50% of world population now live in the cities. Therefore, we also need to think about how we restore cities in such a way that they become sustainable. And I think we need a bit of imagination to do that. We have come to the end of cheap fossil fuel era. When cheap fossil fuel was available, everything was easy to transport, and we had no awareness about global warming, climate change as much as we do today. So the era of cheap oil gone, peak oil, but at the same time the effect and impact of overuse of fossil fuel is being experienced by the world. So we need to think about how these 50% of people on this planet Earth living in the cities are also going to be sustainable. That's one area that we need to think about. And one way we can think is that all the roofs of city buildings should be seen as Earth. And if you put all the roofs together, they will be acres and acres and acres, thousands of acres or millions of acres. Bombay, Tokyo, New York, London, all these big cities. So I would say all roofs should be turned into gardens. All roofs should be turned into solar collecting stations. All roofs should be collecting water. So if we make cities a bit more self-reliant and not dependent on energy and everything else, food and so on, from far away. So that's the one way. Then look at the walls of all the buildings. Acres and acres and acres of space there. If that water which we collected from the roof was somehow stored and piped so that the walls can be lined with plants, so it will be natural air conditioning, nature and culture living together, and in those plants you can have flowers, you can have herbs, you can have vegetables, you can have many edible food as well as oxygen giving plants. And so the wall should be transformed into edible food and also green plants. Then we need to also think of cities as walking cities and not driving cities. At the moment, people are commuting every day between 8 and 10. Roads of the cities are congested, and in the evening, going back, I think we need to think of neighborhoods. And within neighborhoods, we need to think how people can, because it's a change of policy, change of philosophy, change of worldview. When cheap oil was available, we could think that you can commute, you can drive, you can go anywhere, you have a car, it's cheap oil, doesn't matter. But now air polluted, climate changing, global warming and congestion and all the problems we face today, if we change our philosophy and policy, we are clever enough, humanity is clever enough, science is clever enough, technology is clever enough that we can create neighborhood cities where people can live near the work and work near they live, and they walk to work, so that they are healthy. When they arrive in their office, they are fresh and they are exercised and they are more cheerful when they have walked. So why not every day when you go to work, you start your work day half an hour, 45 minutes before your 9 a.m. work, and you walk to your work and walk back to work. That'll be healthy. So I think restoring the earth includes restoring the cities and making them more sustainable, more ecological, or within 100-mile radius of every city, London, Tokyo, New York, Mumbai, Mexico City, within 100 miles, you should have much more food grown for the city, so that nature and culture live side by side. We don't have to think that nature has to be exiled in the country, and the culture has to be kind of concentrated in the city. Nature and culture living together. Urban farms, urban. I mean, London is blessed with lots of trees and lots of grass where we are sitting, and lots of parks, Regent's Park, Hyde Park, St James's Park, Holland Park, so many parks, Hampstead Heath, so many, but they are mostly ornamental. I think they should also be included, some, like I was walking Holland Park this morning, why not have some vegetables growing there as well as flowers and daffodils and camellias and so on. So I would like to re-envision the urban landscape, and I would like to see the cities become more sustainable so that our impact, our footprint on the rural countryside is not so heavy, not so strong, and we don't exploit our nature so much as we today.
Lovely, Satish, thank you. What a wonderful vision that is.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about where it all began for you.
It began with me and for me in a very early childhood. My mother was a naturalist. He was a wonderful, wonderful, wise woman, even though that is in 1930s and 40s when I was growing. And in those days, maybe nobody had heard of environment or ecology or global warming or climate change or peak oil or all these things, never heard of. And yet, my mother, like a Buddhist, or she was a Jain actually, so as a Jain, she revered nature. And she, I mean, now we say Gaia is a living organism. The planet Earth, Mother Earth, Goddess Earth is a living organism. But in the 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s, and even now many scientists think that Earth is a dead rock. And only very few enlightened scientists like James Lovelock and Lynn Margulis and many others of that kind, people, scientists who say that Earth is a living organism. But for my mother, Earth was a living organism. Trees were alive and they were intelligent. And my mother would say the trees are our teachers. Trees are even greater teacher than the Buddha. It was sitting under a tree that Buddha got enlightenment. It's the tree which gave me the way forward and a kind of example of life and knowledge and sustainability. So my mother was a teacher and a naturalist, so I learned a lot from her. And then I became interested as a Gandhian. Mahatma Gandhi again said, there's enough in the world for everybody's need, but not enough for anybody's greed. So that was a kind of example that we can live in abundance, we can celebrate nature, we can enjoy the fruit of nature. There's a plenty sunshine, plenty rain, plenty flowers, plenty fruit. When you plant one seed in the ground of an apple tree, that one seed gives you thousands and thousands and thousands of fruit for 20 years or 50 years, depending on the quality of the tree. So there is no shortage of everything. There's enough for everybody's need. We can celebrate, we can enjoy, we can live well, but not enough for anybody's greed. And greed brings waste. And there is not enough for waste. And greed also brings pollution. And there's not enough for pollution. If you pollute our rivers, we have to drink that water. If we pollute our air, we have to breathe that air. If we pollute our soil with the chemicals and fertilizers and poisonous pesticide, then we have to eat fruit of that soil. And what we are eating is soil. Because when you are eating an apple, what is an apple? Apple is soil transformed. We think that it's a juicy, fragrant, crispy, delicious apple, but it's soil. Soil transformed with the help of the sun and the rain and nature. And so, if we poison the soil, we have to eat it. We have to eat that soil. We are soil. So, for me, what I learned is that word human comes from humus, Latin word humus. And humus means soil. And from that comes humility. And so soil is always humble, always under your feet, never on your head. So soil is our teacher to teach us, because we are earthly beings. Humans means made of soil. So we are earthly beings, soil beings, and therefore we need to be humble like the soil. and not have this arrogance that nature is there just for us. We can use it, abuse it as we like. Nature is made there for human use. Therefore, we can cut down the rainforest, we can poison the soil, we can put the animals in factory farms, we can do what we like. We are the master race. This speciesism, I call it, because the superiority of human species above all other species, and all other species and all nature can be sacrificed in order to make human life more convenient. So that idea is a speciesism. I think human beings have to be humble and say nature is there not only valuable because it's useful to humans, but nature has intrinsic value. Trees are good in themselves. They are good not because they give us oxygen or fruit or wood for fire or wood for our house. That's gift of the tree to us. But the tree has intrinsic value. This has a right to live. Like human rights, we have to accept the rights of nature. And now in, for example, New Zealand, the Maori culture has been respected, and the rivers have been given personhood and right to survive. In India too, there are rivers which are sacred and they have legal right and legal protection. So the rights of nature is as important as the rights of humans, and humans should be humble and live in harmony with nature. So humility, humanity, humus, they're all connected words. So this is what I learned from my mother and from Mahatma Gandhi, and this is what I'm carrying on in my life.
Lovely, Satish. And I wanted to ask you, I mean, on climate change, on fresh water, on biodiversity, on the soil, as you've already mentioned, the world's forests, you know, the challenges are so vast, and yet the way you describe the solutions, in a sense, is so simple.
Yeah.
Are we missing a trick here? Have we
yes.
invented?
The thing is that Albert Einstein said that any fool can make things complicated. It requires a genius to make things simple. That's Einstein's wisdom. And so I think we are making things too complicated. And we are unnecessarily so making that. Because things are very simple. They're complex, but complexity and simplicity are complementary. Complicatedness is the opposite of simplicity. So we are making things complicated. They are complex but not complicated. They are complex and simple at the same time. Tree is a complex organism, but also very simple. You plant the seed, it will grow, it will take life from the sun, it will take life from the rain, it will take life from the air, it will grow, it will become a wonderful tree. So in the same way, every nature is working there, and every nature is there made into mutuality and reciprocity. So trees will feed us and we feed the trees. Trees will take our carbon and trees will give its oxygen. So this way, soil will give us, we give with the soil. Reciprocity is the simple principle which humanity has forgotten. Humanity has just taken the idea of take, and not return. And the law of return, law of the cycle of return, everything comes and goes back into the soil. This continuous cycle of life we have forgotten, and we have made this so complicated that everything has become linear. You extract, you take, you use, you consume, you throw away. Just a kind of linear process, and that's where things have become complicated. So all these problems we have today of global warming, climate change, resources are depleting, population explosion, peak oil, kind of all the kind of things we are facing today are not necessary. They are completely unnecessary problems because as Mahatma Gandhi said, and I quoted already, there's enough, abundant, nature is abundant, life is abundant. So we have made so narrow, mean-minded, generosity is missing, humanity has forgotten that we need to be generous as nature is generous. Nature gives gift. You plant one seed, as I said, and you get 1,000 fruit. And it doesn't eat its own fruit. Tree does not eat its own fruit. But we humans want everything for ourselves rather than mutuality. So the reciprocity and mutuality are the unique and fundamental and essential principles of the planet Earth. And the Earth can be restored only if we honor and recognize and respect the principle of reciprocity and mutuality and return. everything you take from nature. I say to industrialists and business people, you can manufacture what you like. You can consume what you like. Just give me two guarantees. One, you will waste nothing. Like in nature, there is no waste. And second, you pollute nothing. In nature, there is no pollution. Everything is clean and pristine. And the river becomes clean and pristine. Water is clean and pristine. The water rises from the sea, becomes a steam, goes into the clouds, and comes to every field, sweet water, all purified. Everything is unpolluted. We pollute and pollute and pollute air, water, soil, everything. So if you guarantee me these two words, that we'll manufacture, we'll consume, we will have economy, everything is fine, but we guarantee you no pollution and no waste. Simple. But the common sense is no longer common. People have become so fools. All these highly educated people from Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard, Yale, big universities, they come out and they pollute and they waste. I say, you are educated. And how stupid you can be that you are creating industry which is polluting and wasting. When nature is much more intelligent than humans. Humans are so wasteful and greedy. So if we can minimize our greed, we may not be able to eliminate altogether, but we minimize our greed like we minimize our crime, we have to minimize our greed. And if we do that, I think things are more simple. Nature can look after itself and nature can look after us. We are nature. Humans are nature. Nature is not just the trees and the mountains, the flowers and the river Thames. We are nature. Nature means to be born. Natal, native, the same root. Natal, prenatal is pre-birth, and postnatal is post-birth. Like a mother goes to hospital for prenatal check or postnatal check. So natal and nature come from the same root. So nature means to be born. Everything what is born is nature. Humans are born, humans are nature. We are made of earth, air, fire, water, 4 elements. A tree is made of the same elements. So there's no difference between humans and trees and other nature, animals. So if we consider ourselves nature, so there's no division, there's no dualism. Nature is not separate from us, so we can exploit and we can subjugate and we can conquer nature. The idea that we is to conquer nature is completely mistaken and a kind of false. And therefore, we don't need to conquer nature, we have to live in harmony with nature. And that is because we are nature. All our infrastructure, industry, business, roads, railways, airports, they're all icing on the cake. The cake is earth, air, fire, water. 4 elements. If these 4 elements are gone, your airports and your trains and your railways and your motorways and your cars and your industry and your business and your politics and all the Brexit and all these are simple distraction. Nothing is going to help. So, but we have forgotten the cake and we are eating icing. All this infrastructure and business and industry and politics are just icing on the cake. So look after the cake, then icing is fine. There's nothing wrong with icing. It makes it more delicious and beautiful. But if you eat icing and forget the cake, you'll be sick. This is why our society is sick at the moment, because we are too much obsessed with icing and not with the cake. So look after the 4 elements and humanity will be fine. Simple. So very simple, but fools make it complicated, and education is making us more fool than wise. Albert Einstein was absolutely right.
Absolutely right. Thank you, Satish. And to follow your Gandhian theme and your own Gandhian life, the book I'm hoping to write is also about how we might live in peace with one another. I mean, based on the peace that we hopefully will find with nature.
Yeah.
You've also walked across large areas of the world in support of peace. Could you say something about that other form of peace too?
The peace is essential for the imagination to grow. You cannot have war and develop imagination. You cannot develop art, poetry, dance, music, urban renewal, ecology, good farming, good agriculture, all these things where people are involved and majority of people have to work on it. If you have things like Aleppo or in Iraq or Syria or wherever, Afghanistan, Look at what has happened to culture, what has happened to imagination, what has happened to urban living, what has happened to anything. So peace is a foundation. Peace is the ground of all human well-being. And so if there is no peace, there is nothing can happen. And therefore I devoted my life. I was inspired by Lord Bertrand Russell. He was a great peace activist. In 1961, he protested against the nuclear weapons, and he was arrested, and he was put in jail. And I was 25-year-old young man in Bangalore with a friend in a cafe, sitting and drinking coffee. And here is a Lord Bertrand Russell at age 90 going to jail for peace in the world. And I was there sitting drinking coffee. So I said to my friend, what can we do? We have to work for peace. Gandhians, and here's a Bertrand Russell leading the world. We have to join the peace movement. And so my friend and I started our walk for peace without any money in our pocket. Because we said the war comes from fear and peace comes from trust. And we have to show that we trust ourselves, we trust people, we trust humanity, we trust the universe. We will trust, and people will feed us and shelter us. And that happened for 2.5 years. I and with my friend Menon, we both of us, my book No Destination has a story in it. And so we walked 8,000 miles from New Delhi to Moscow, Paris, London, and Bertrand Russell we met, and he helped us to get 2 tickets in Queen Mary. And so we sailed across the Atlantic and walked to New York. From New York we walked to Washington DC, and we ended our journey at the grave of John F. Kennedy. So we started at the grave of Mahatma Gandhi and ended at the grave of John F. Kennedy, to make the point that these 2 men were assassinated, victims of violence. So if you don't trust in peace, if you don't believe in peace and believe in gun and weapons and war and violence, then that can take people like Gandhi and Kennedy away. So we have to shift our focus and our trust from gun to non-violence. So peace is ground of all imagination and all human good life and good activity. That was my conviction. And for that I say, peace is not only an absence of war, peace is also a way of life. And we have to live in a way that we are making peace within ourselves. Peace of mind is essential in order to make peace in the world. If you become selfish and you become egotistical and you say, I'm Indian. If I go as an Indian, I meet a Pakistani, or a Russian or American. If I go as a Hindu, I meet a Muslim or a Christian or a Jew or a Muslim. But if I go as a human being, I meet human beings everywhere. So first and foremost, we are all members of one human community, human tribe, and we are members of one earth community. Even the trees are our friends and our relatives. So that kind of peace of mind and a peace within, and that kind of solid rock of peace that you build in your heart. And then you make peace with other people and all religions. It's wonderful to celebrate the diversity of religions, diversity of nationalities, diversity of languages, biodiversity, cultural diversity, linguistic diversity, religious diversity, truth diversity. Diversity is the key to existence. Evolution had been working for billions and billions and billions of years to bring this diversity. What was in the beginning at the Big Bang? What was there? Nothing. So all diversity had been created and evolved by evolution over billions of years. We have to celebrate it. We have to celebrate that we have so many languages, so many religions, so many cultures, so many truths, so many ways of seeing things, so many ways of making things. Wonderful. Diversity. When we don't celebrate diversity, we want monoculture of politics, monoculture of economics, monoculture of this, that or the other. That creates war. We impose our system on other people. And if you don't agree with us, we go to war in the name of religion or in the name of politics or in the name of economics or something. So celebrating diversity is the key to peace. So I have devoted my life for inner peace, peace with humanity and people, and peace with nature. So peace has a kind of all-embracing, wider and broader dimension than just absence of war or absence of nuclear weapons. That's what I said to Bertrand Russell. I said, for me...
Sorry, there's a helicopter going over. It looks like the Queen's helicopter, perhaps.
Queen's helicopter,
I don't know, that might be. Sorry, you were saying, dear Satish.
So I was saying to Bertrand Russell the same thing, that for me, I'm very inspired by you. You are a great activist and a great hero of mine. But I would like to talk to you about the broader meaning of peace. And he was very interested. He said, yes, coming from India, your Indian philosophy very good. I am a Western intellectual, so I'm more focused on nuclear weapons and elimination of nuclear weapons. But he supported my approach to peace.
Thank you, Satish. I wanted to ask you about one or two examples of communities or countries or geographies that have really done inspiring things on sustainability. I mean, we share an interest in what Rajendra Singh has done in Rajasthan with traditional water harvesting. Perhaps that's one, but other things that really inspire you.
Other good example is Bhutan.
Bhutan, yeah.
I'm going to Bhutan, and Schumacher College and the Center for Gross National Happiness in Bhutan, we run a joint course on right livelihood. And Bhutan is an example where they say that we are not so focused on GDP or GNP, gross national product or gross domestic product. We are more interested in GNH, gross national happiness. And I think that's a wonderful example of a small country showing the way to the world that your focus on economic growth is to some extent misplaced. We need to focus on growth in well-being, growth on human happiness. Why we need money, why we need industry, why we need everything what we do, because that should bring well-being and happiness. If it does not bring well-being and happiness, and it creates more tension and more stress and more anger and more greed and more dissatisfaction, then economic growth by itself is not enough. So Bhutan, I would say, is a wonderful example. And we should study Bhutan, we should find out more about Bhutan and support it so that well-being and happiness becomes an important index for our progress. The other good example for me is Transition Town movement. Transition Town movement started in Totnes, in Devon, but now it has spread all over Britain and all over the world. There's a network of transition towns where people, citizens, are taking responsibility. They're not waiting for government to change. They're not waiting for business to lead. They're not waiting for industry to show the way. They are saying, we will take responsibility and renew our lives and restore our towns and villages and have renewable energy, and we will have organic food and have a shared transportation and all the kind of things that we want to create a kind of sustainable future for the humanity. We are not going to wait for some great leader to come and save us. We will take responsibility. So taking that leadership role is a wonderful example, and I think Rob Hopkins is a hero of mine. Yes. He's done a wonderful work. So that's a very good work. Then I think also seed saving movement in the world. In Norway, there's a wonderful seed bank. In India, Vandana Shiva has created a wonderful seed bank. And she's saying that we must not just abandon our seeds, which have evolved over millions of years or billions of years. And so their resilience and their continuous evolution must not be stopped by all this genetic engineering and all the kind of Monsanto type of companies producing new seeds, which are kind of new and not tried and tested, and we don't know what problems they will create. So that seed movement is a wonderful example. So Rajendra Singh water movement and Vandana Shiva seed movement and Rob Hopkins transition town movement and the Bhutan gross national happiness movement. These are wonderful examples. And also in China, we are working now with Schumacher College and Chinese people. And in China, there is a new awareness about creating ecological civilization. And I think this industrial civilization was fine. It had its role, it has played its role, but it has also brought tremendous havoc and tremendous negative results. And therefore, we need to shift from industrial civilization to ecological civilization, where nature and humanity can live together without conquering each other or without destroying each other. So I think that ecological civilization idea is a wonderful idea. There are lots of good ideas going around. Yeah.
Thank you, Satish. And I read Resurgence every 2 months or every however often it comes out. And of course, there's so many good things that you write about there, and it's a wonderful publication. What can we do as individuals? What one or two things?
I always say to individuals that we have to be the change that we want to see in the world. That was Mahatma Gandhi again. We have to be the change, and therefore how we live in our personal life will impact the social, political, economic and environmental situation. Therefore, how we live. Number one, I always say to people, give some time to yourself. I have coined a trinity called soil, soul, society. So soul is second part of it. And the caring of the soul and developing your soul qualities of compassion, of kindness, of love, of generosity, of unity, of beauty, all aesthetics, all these things are part of imagination, soul. So developing soul quality and caring for yourself, that means some time for meditation, some time for physical exercise, for walking in nature, eating good food, time for cooking, time to be with the family, time to be with friends. So take yourself time, slow down in order to live well. So start your personal life as ecological and spiritual as possible. And do a bit of gardening, do a bit of growing. All this computer and all the kind of internet and all the kind of social media and office work and industry and so on, they are all fine, but human beings are the center. It's the beginning, is the human beings. If human beings are not taken care of and not well looked after and not happy, then all your internet and all your work and all your industry and business and so on will have no lasting consequence, lasting impact for happiness. Therefore, looking after yourself, personal life, and simple things like every day walking in nature, or every day spending half an hour, 1 hour cooking good food, eating organic, good, healthy, fresh, delicious food, doing some meditation every morning, some time for yourself, and you can reflect on your life. What are you here for? What is the meaning of your life? What contribution you are making? Are you happy? What can you do something to make yourself happy? All those simple questions, asking yourself every day, and meditation and being silent and calm. That's a simple life. And then second is simplifying our lives a little bit. We have too much clutter in our mind as well as in our homes. So elegant simplicity is a kind of motto that I want people to consider as an elegant simplicity. Simplicity is not simplistic. Simplicity is very beautiful. Simplicity is, as Einstein said, simplicity is key to good life. So elegant simplicity, reduce your clutter and learn to make something. In our education, students should be offered time and lessons to learn to make something with your hands. We are just too much head and not enough heart and not enough hands. So education of head, heart and hands. These three should combine together. Then it's more holistic, more complete. We are whole body. We are not just brain. We are whole body. We have hands, we have heart, we have stomach, we have legs. So we have to walk with our legs. We have to use our hands to make something, produce food or make furniture or mend something or write something with hand, poetry, painting, music, dancing. So all those things are very simple in life, but we forget. We become so busy in our jobs and in our kind of life that simple things get overlooked. And therefore I advise people to go for simplicity and look into your life and how you can live well, and then spend some time in the service of the others. So when you are working in a hospital, you are not working just to earn your salary. You are working to help the needy. You are teaching in a school. Your attitude needs to change. You are not teaching just to earn your salary and pay the bills and pay the mortgage. You are there in the service of the children. That kind of attitude we need to change. Even in a shop, if you are a shopkeeper, you are there to serve the customer, not just make profit, not just make money. Making profit is byproduct. We need money, we need to make profit to balance the books, but the main purpose is to serve the customer. So this sense of service, whether you are in a school or hospital or office or industry or business or government, wherever you are, that attitude is a spiritual attitude which we need to develop. So soil, soul, society. Soil, our relationship with the natural world should be right and proper and appropriate. Soul, our inner landscape of love, inner landscape of compassion. That needs to be cultivated. We are not just barren body. We give so much time to our body, morning, afternoon, evening, breakfast, lunch, dinner, coffee, tea, bathing, buying clothes, buying shoes, building houses, everything for body. But we are not just body. We are spirit as well. We are human soul, human spirit, and imagination. And so imagination is the fifth element. Earth, air, fire, water, and imagination. Imagination is the fifth element. And that's missing. Our modern industrial society has become the enemy of imagination. We don't nurture imagination. We don't allow any space or time. Everything is done by rule book. And you have no imagination, space for imagination. So we need to cultivate imagination. So soil, soul, and society. These are the three words that we need to remember.
Thank you, Satish. And if I may say, you look so well and so sprightly. So this approach must be working very well for you.
Yes, yeah. So what is your work with the Prince?
So I work mainly on rainforests and climate change,
good, yeah.
And we also do a lot on sustainable agriculture and on cities, and so all the things you've mentioned.
Yeah.
And it's policy research really supporting
yes.
HRH's convening and so on.
Yeah.
And how hopeful are you, Satish, do you think, for our future? I'm about to become a father for the first time, and I'm thinking about the world that we love and the world we wish to see, and I wonder how hopeful you are in light of all that you've done and all that you've seen, that we can put things on the right track.
To be an activist, you have to be an optimist. You cannot be a pessimist and be an activist. If you are a pessimist, you have no hope, you give up. Say, nothing will change, everything is going to ruins, and there's a catastrophe, and we cannot do anything. That kind of hopelessness and pessimism will make you impotent and inactive. I'm an activist, and I want to be active and die in action and hope than die in worry and pessimism. And so up to the last breath of my life, I want to serve and I want to be an activist. And to be an activist, you have to be an optimist. And hope, humanity can rise to the occasion. All the kind of structures that we have of politics, of industry, of business, of energy systems, everything what we have are man-made in last 200 to 300 years. It's not. What is 200 or 300 years in the geological scale of time? A blink of an eye. So, what is built by humans in 200 or 300 years past can be changed and rebuilt and reimagined and restored in next 200 or 300 years. So, humanity has more resilience and more imagination, and Earth is more resilient and more imagination. And so I would say that in next 200 to 300 years, this kind of pollutant, wasteful industrial civilization that we have created, which is polluting and destroying the planet Earth, will change. And I will come back. I believe in reincarnation. I'll come back to see a new world, a new Earth, a new humanity where we can live a bit better than what we live today. So I'm an optimist. What is made by humans can be changed by humans. And 30 years ago, before you were born maybe, 30 years ago, nobody had computers. Nobody had smartphones. Nobody had any access to internet. Computer needed a whole room to have a computer. And now everybody has a smartphone in their hand. The whole world is in their hand, on the kind of fingertip. You can connect with Mumbai, Beijing, Tokyo, New York, sitting in London, and talk to them and see their pictures and get their news instantly. So all these things has happened in our lifetime. And so things can change. Only thing is absolute certain is things do not stay static, they change. So change is coming, and let's be part of a positive change. Let's be part of that great journey of transformation, rather than groan and moan and complain and worry and do nothing. So I'm an optimist, I have hope. And hope is to act. Hope is not just wishy-washy, flaky thinking that, oh, something will turn out okay. That's not hope. Hope means that this is the right thing to do, I will do it because this is the right way to do. So you act what is right. And what is the result is not in your hands. It's in the hands of God, in the hands of the universe, in the hands of the future. We don't know what is going to happen, but we must do what we think right. That's hope.
Satish Kumar.
That's what Václav Havel said.
Yes.
Václav Havel said about hope. That hope is not wishy-washy, flaky thinking.
No.
It's acting, believing that this is right action.
That's very wonderful. And did you see Gandhi in your...
No.
Yes.
I met Bertrand Russell.
Yes.
I met Martin Luther King.
Did you? Yes.
I met Václav Havel.
Yes.
These are the kind of people
Wonderful.
who were contemporary to my time.
Wonderful.
Mahatma Gandhi was assassinated when I was maybe 15, 16, let me see, 48 January. So I was only 12 years old.
Yes, well, there we
I was
are.
born in 1936.
Yes.
So I did not see. But I worked with a great disciple and almost heir to Gandhi called Vinoba Bhave. And he was my teacher, and I lived in the Gandhian ashram and followed Gandhian principles. So Gandhi and Vinoba Bhave, they were my great inspirations.
Wonderful. Satish, I'm profoundly grateful to you, very inspired.
You are welcome.
And thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so very, very much.
Pleasure to meet you.
Yes, all the very best. Thank you.
And good luck with your book.
Thank you so much.
We started Schumacher College,
Yes.
and Prince had visited,
Yes.
and he loved Schumacher College.
Yes.
He was very happy.
Yes.
And now we have some more plans because Schumacher is very much in demand.
Yes.
Lots of people want to come, so we are very full, and we need more space. At the moment, we have 40 bedrooms.
Yes.
And there is a building called Foxhall, which was built as a school, Dartington Hall School, in 1932.
Yes.
And that has 120 bedrooms.
Yes.
And so we are planning, and we already agreed, the Dartington Hall has agreed to give us that building.
Yes.
And so, but that building has been empty for many years. And so it's a bit damp, a bit run down. So we need a few million to restore it and refurbish it, because it's been empty for many years. So our next plan is to bring that building back into and then make Schumacher College. So then we will have 40 bedrooms in the present building and 120 in Foxhall, so altogether 160 bedrooms. So we would like to make that Schumacher College. At the moment we give 5 or 6 postgraduate degree programs in holistic science, holistic economics, ecological design, ecology and spirituality, all those. And so, and we are going to launch a new master's program in ecology and mythology.
Wonderful.
And for 20 places, we have got 600 inquiries.
Really?
So
Gosh,
very
Satish.
popular.
Yeah.
And so, this Foxhall building, we are working to restore. And what I'm going to talk to David Cadman.
Good.
And yesterday I met David Green.
Good.
And we would like Prince to visit again when he comes to Cornwall or Devon.
Sure.
I'm going to talk to Michael.
Yes,
Michael?
Michael's a very good man.
Michael
Yes. Whitehead.
Yeah. I have met him.
You met him,
I have met him, Michael Whitehead. So I'll write to him so that when he's visiting again next year or this year in the summer, if he's visiting Cornwall or Devon, if he could have an hour or two at Schumacher College. That'll be good.
Lovely.
And then I'll talk to David and others if we can find, and if the Prince is willing, if we can have a reception given by him at St. James's or something like that. And so do a fundraising dinner or reception. So that'll be
I'm sure he would love to, Satish. I will put in a good word. I do hope that happens.
Mention that whenever you can to Michael or to the Prince, and I'll talk to David Catman. David is our alumni. He was at Schumacher College studying and volunteering for some time. So he's one wonderful man, and he got us that beautiful DVD Prince made for this Resurgence.
Lovely.
Was a lovely 10
film.
minutes, 12 minutes. Such a beautiful words and such a lovely message. So we are very grateful.
I do hope you and the Prince has the great joy of spending more time with you, Satish, because you're such a wonderful presence to be in. It would be lovely for him to draw on your spirit and all his work. But I know he admires you deeply, and he loves Resurgence, and it's a very big part of his life.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, if you have anything Prince has written or given a speech or something which you think could be published, we would be happy to. Do you know Greg Neal?
Yes, I do know Greg, and I like him.
Talk to him.
Yeah, he's a very nice man.
Nice man.
So and I write a few reviews for him.
That's good.
Once or twice I've done that.
That's very good.
Enjoyed that.
And also, if there's anything by Prince, we can
put it up. Yes.
Rainforest you are doing, we can publish. Stay in touch.
Thanks.
Use Resurgence as
a platform.
Your vehicle, your platform. Do
well, that's so kind. Well, it's the most wonderful publication, really.
Yes, thank you. We have been there for 50 years.
I know, it's amazing. And I know you're giving a few talks quite soon, so I might come.
I'm giving a talk. I'm going to Bhutan, so I bought some rainproof jacket. Yeah, because they say at the moment it's a rainy season in Bhutan.
Ah, good.
So I got some.
I was at Oxford with the King of Bhutan. I hope you're going to meet him.
Yes,
we used to go out for dinner.
Really?
And he was, before his responsibilities began. So if you do see him, or if you want me to find a way to him, I'd be very happy to try to make. Yes, are you going to see him? Or,
I have no plan to see him.
Well, I will. I'll write to my friend Karma Punso, and maybe we'll be able to find a way
through.
So
the way is that if the King's Office can contact Center for Gross National Happiness.
Yes.
Somebody called Dr. Samdu. SAANDU. Dr. Samdu. He's my coordinator. I'm going as a guest of the Center for Gross National Happiness. And the princess, I think she's maybe the sister of the king.
Yes. Okay. SAAMDU.
Samdu. So if King has time, and I could see him for even 20 minutes, and give my respect to him, that'll be great.
Okay.
That'll be wonderful.
When are you going?
I'm going. I'll be in Bhutan on the 7th of April, and there until 16th.
All right.
So from 7th to 16th.
I'll do my best.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm so grateful.
We'll walk back.
Let's.
I'll go towards Pall Mall.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
lovely.
Take a tube.
Lovely.
Piccadilly line.
I loved our interview, and as I looked at my recorder at the end, I was worried that it had not managed to record it all. But I hope it did. If it didn't, I shall just record it in my heart.
You can record it in your heart, or you can phone me.
Oh no,
I'll phone.